Hello, everyone. So I'll be talking about this very common phrase called every coin has two sides. You see, this phrase is an everyday phrase that we see. You've probably heard it, seen it, and this is a very common phrase, but why am I making this very simple idea an idea worth sharing? Please raise your hands if you know any one of these characters. I see that many of you in this room knows this. So if you do, who and what do you think these characters are? You see, some of you might think that they're the bad guys. They're these villainous characters in these worlds where they're just contradicting the ideas of the protagonist, the antagonists of the story. Some of you might think that they're misfits, marginalized by society simply because they're different. Some of you might even think that they're the good guys. You see, one simple worded question has made everyone in this room have divisive thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. And that is the beauty of human complexity, psychology, and intricacies. So, does any one of you ever heard BW? And no, when I say BW, I do not mean BrainWorks. BW stands for black and white. Black and white is a situation where the absolute answer can be given. The outcome is certain. You know what's good, what's bad. You know what's the truth, what's a lie. You know what's good and what's bad. But let me in a little secret for you. Life is not that simple. So this black and white concept doesn't exist because we do not know all the time what's good and bad, what's absolute. You know, these black and white is the color that everyone knows. It's the most extreme colors in the color spectrum. Take a look at this character. This character is called Arthur Fleck. Some of you might know him as Joker. He is played by Joaquin Phoenix, 2019, in an Oscar-winning performance. Everyone adored him, loved him, empathized with him, felt him. Joker has been portrayed by many different people. A-listers. It has been written in many comics, books, and it's been featured in every Halloween party. I'm sure you've all seen someone dressed as Joker in Halloween. So this character, no matter how many portrayals or no matter how many times it's been written, most people portray him as this undecisive, crazy, bloodthirsty psychopath. This one does the same. But what's different is that even though he's portrayed the same way, why do people feel differently about this character? Why is this Joker unique from all the other Jokers? This character has, just like the other Jokers, murdered people. They have caused chaos. Why do they do that? Why do critics and people think that it's justifiable or that they felt him? They felt sorry for him. So I ask you this. Just because the world is mean to you, it's unjustified, do you think he is right to do what he did? Eliminating people, 7 beating hearts, 7 lives. Keep that into account. This is the character that represents the gray area. The gray area is the area between the black and white area. There is no absolute outcome, yet there is smokes and mirrors. The outcome is uncertain. There is no correct good and bad, right or wrong. He is a character that plays in this thin line between the black and white concept. And why do people love him? Why do they relate to him? Think about it. You see, if we have to think that he's justified to do what he did and eliminate people or be mean just because they're mean to them, then the world would be empty and without hope. But the thing is, hasn't the world always been that way? Is everyone nice to you? Somehow, some way, even if they're nice to you, some might think that you're just mean and they are having bad intentions towards you. You see, human race and the human life itself is a two-sided coin. Differences exist. Everyone thinks differently, everyone interprets things differently, everyone feels differently. But the beauty is that people have learned to accept it. But then, wars and conflicts have already existed since the very beginning of mankind. Since the prehistoric ages, the Greeks, the Romans, they've all fought. Conflicts, million lives lost, probably for a cause that they don't even believe in, just because of the difference in opinions. Differences. Differences are what makes us humans humans. We are unique. Differences exist, and they will never go anywhere anytime soon. But then 3 years ago, something happened, and I'm sure you've all felt it. We all know it. The COVID-19 pandemic. It has isolated people, not only us in front of a computer, but also nations. On a larger scale, the whole world, supply chain issues, plummeting economies, you name it. You see, differences have grown too far apart during these 3 years. They have existed, but people stopped learning to accept it. They've started to grow away from it. This is how characters like Joker are born. When people do not learn to accept differences. People who have internal conflicts because of the society or just the way he's born. So I ask you this, aren't we all clowns like him? Don't we all have our internal conflicts? Going back to the topic of the COVID-19 pandemic, talking about the plummeting economies and this instability around the world, let's take the examples that we are very familiar with. Take this, 3 prime ministers in just 7 weeks in the UK, one of the most powerful nations, one of the most important nations in the global scale. The Russia-Ukraine war, more autocratic regimes than ever. You see, if this analogy isn't as relatable to you, let's take it more internally. This external front, maybe too external for you. I see a lot of parents and students here today, teachers as well. Have you ever been in a conflict, students and parents, students and teachers, adults and children? These parents and students dynamic is unique. Parents, if you think of it, most parents, generally 99% of the parents, would want their kids to be the best selves. They provide education, nurture them, teach them what's necessary, all for them to be better than what they are themselves. Students, on the other hand, and I'm a student myself, I know this, most of them, well, we're lazy, but we also want freedom, liberty. This world does not exist just in the books. There's more to life than just study. Study. We're going to miss out. Youth exists only once. That's the argument that students can give. What's the compromise in between? Parents and their children have been in conflict since mankind begun. And it seems that no one has still come up with a compromise. We still don't know what the middle ground is between. So this begs the question, is it possible to eliminate conflict completely? I tell all this, it's destroying the world, it's making the world a worse place, but is it possible to eliminate conflict completely? No. The answer is no. Differences exist, they always will, and they will never go away. As I said, This is what makes us unique. But after being 17 years existing in this planet, I was born with this natural gravitation towards sociological theories, political discussions, and the complexity of human psychology. I have come up with two approaches to make this situation a little better. Number one, being acknowledgement. And number two, being inclusion. Acknowledge the differences exist. And I have not stressed it enough. I've been repeating it throughout this whole speech. Acknowledge that differences exist. We humans, it's a natural tendency for us, right, to cherry pick information that aligns with our beliefs and reject these facts, opinions, and these information that opposes them. This is what we call confirmation bias. I won't get much into it because I'm not an expert myself, and I'm sure I won't bore you guys. When we acknowledge that differences exist, we accept the fact that everyone is unique, everyone is different. Confirmation bias is reduced. This opens up the world to have open-mindedness. That would make the world a much happier place where everyone is accepted. This brings me to the next point, inclusion. Include everyone in the process. You see, when everyone thinks they have a voice, they feel valued. Where inclusion exists, fear vanishes. The fear of speaking out. The fear that we won't be heard, that we won't be acknowledged. Fear that, okay, my idea might not be as good as him. Therefore, I will just follow his orders, lead. Future leaders are more imminent than ever. We need them now. It's time for the future, the torch to be passed down to the younger generation. Think about it. A world without conflicts. A world where everyone lives in peace, where society prosper. The place where everyone is accepted, they feel acknowledged. Everyone is different, yet people learn to accept it. Bring it towards their heart, hand in hand, and make this world a better place, a better planet, and let's fix all our problems together. Thank you for listening.